So welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. Um, my thought for you that I am kind of working with is going back to it. I was looking all over, and I know I found it once before, and I couldn't find it this time. But since it's Groundhog's Day, right? So happy Groundhog Day.
What happened? Six
What?
more weeks.
6 more weeks of winter. No, not about that. Not about there being 6 more weeks of winter, but Groundhog Day is being that sort of metaphor, right? Like the movie Groundhog Day, like how things repeat and they repeat and they repeat and they repeat. And we can look at that kind of repetitive pattern that is happening as something that is unchanging, right? And we can get frustrated by it. But to take that kind of understanding, and even if you use that movie as an example, right, that every day it seems like certain things are always happening the same way, but what isn't the same is his response to it, right? His understanding of what's going on. So in the beginning of that journey, and this is all of us, right? The beginning of that journey is you're going through your day and you don't see most of it, right? You see the things that are kind of in your face or the most immediately needing your reaction. And then that's what we think is the whole experience, right? Is the things that are like in our face and that we have to respond to immediately. But if you were to walk that path over and over and over again, right? In the movie, he has to go through the same day over and over and over again. Is what happens is he starts to realize that there are details going on that he didn't see the first time or the second time or the third time or the 15th time or the 18th time. It takes however many repetitions for him to know so well that there's a whole world going on beyond what his immediate set of reactions were that first time, right? And so what I was looking for as what I was going to read to you today, and I know I've read it before, but that it's called like a biography in five short chapters. And it's the same thing where it says, right, I'm walking this path and there's a hole in the ground and I fall into it every day. I fall into it. And then one day I finally, I see the hole is coming and I still fall into it. It takes me a little bit less time to get out. And then I see the hole is coming and I try to go around, it doesn't work, I fall in again, right? And then finally, you know, at the end of it, on that 5th chapter, it says, I walk down a different path, right? And that this is meant to be our awareness that it takes time. It takes time for us to come to that processing where we're not just, the point is not just to avoid the hole, right? The point is for us to actually understand the steps that we're taking in relation to that experience that we call the hole, or that we call the pain, that we call the disruption. And in that process, I was considering what would happen is instead of trying to get away from the hole, right, I take a different path, is what would happen if you just kept lovingly walking towards that hole. And instead of saying, oh, I'm going to fall into this again, you're continuing to walk the same path, maybe, but you start to recognize that the 5th time, the 8th time, the 19th time you're walking that path is it's no longer about the fear of what's going to happen when you come up to that hole. But it starts to become about, I can hear the birds that are singing in a tree that I didn't see, you know, 6 different times. It becomes about the person who's on the other side of the street waving at me, that I could go to them instead of walking into the hole, right? Or it could be even that as you're walking that path, that hole that used to seem like it was so deep you would never get out, turns out to be just a puddle that you step in and you step out. Or even better, it becomes one of those things where you realize it was a piece of street art and you can actually walk right over it and experience it as something completely new, completely different. So the idea, though, is that this processing that we have of our life is not something that is that rapid kind of experience of it comes and it goes, right? Is that we're going to see the same things appear in our lives over and over and over again. And it might seem like we're repeating over and over and over again and nothing is changing. And how we get out of that feeling of being trapped is we start to expand our awareness. And that's what yoga is expanding your awareness. So that every step that you take in the world is no longer about what's right in front of me coming at me that I'm scared of or that I'm worried about. But it starts to become, can I hear? Can I feel? Can I really experience the life that I'm living? Am I aware of my own steps? So that it doesn't matter if there's a hole in front of you. It doesn't matter if there's something going on that can potentially be painful. Is that even if that hole is unavoidable, right? There is no other path to take. That hole is unavoidable. Can you lovingly step towards it, step into it, and step out of it? That's our practice, because sometimes the hole is unavoidable. but it's us and our awareness that changes. And as our awareness expands, then those paths that we're walking and those people that we're walking it with, those relationships can become something other than what they were when we were in that straight ahead, right? Tunnel vision. So this is our practice, is that whatever keeps recurring in your life or whatever keeps recurring in you, it feels like you're the one that's running in circles, is don't try to get away from that, but start to expand your awareness so that you hear something else. You feel something else, you see something else. Even if that's just internally, that's why we go to the blue sky, to be able to see something other than what's coming at us that we think we need to dodge. So comfortable seat if you're not there already. And just for a moment, can you imagine wherever there are those holes in your life, the things that you keep stepping in, the emotions you keep stepping in, conversations you have 20,000 times and they're always the same. They're the same until they aren't the same. And the moment they become not the same is when you are looking at them as something bigger than just the same conversation I always have, the same pain I always feel, the same hole I always step in. So it's just for a moment, can you experience the holes that are in your life and lovingly look at them as not something that you have to run from. See what's all around the hole, maybe even what's in it. Maybe the whole time in that hole, there was just something you needed to pick up. By climbing out of that hole, you have the ability to turn around and tell the person who's right behind you, hey, take a step to your left. One more deep breath. Feel that loving experience of even the holes in your life are not a place for you to sit in fear. And then bring the hands to the heart center, palm to palm. We'll open sound of Om, deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands, please. Then bring your hands to your knees or your thighs and start a little bit of seated cat-cow. With your hands resting on the legs, begin to inhale, lifting the chest nice and high, lengthening through your throat, drawing the shoulders back and wide. And then as you exhale, curl into your spine, drawing the navel up and in, so that little scoop up underneath the ribs on the exhale. And then inhale again, lifting and lengthening. Exhaling, curling and rounding again, remembering that you are scooping and hollowing. So you get this feeling that your spine is still staying its entire length. So it's not collapsing on you in either direction. But you get that little bit of awareness of internally stretching the belly on the inhale and on the exhale, scooping and lifting, engaging through the belly. Good. Letting the shoulders remain relaxed away from the ears. You're moving your rib cage forward and back between the arms. Good. Nice, you guys. Couple more breaths just to feel yourself extending through the spine. And just to settle from whatever the rest of your day has been. And again, we can't flip a switch and say, well, now I'm on my yoga mat, therefore my body is somehow ready for yoga. Now I'm on my meditation cushion, therefore I should be ready to meditate. Right? There's this seamless flow that says yoga is part of the rest of your life. Meditation is part of the rest of your life. You can't put it in a place and a time and say it's only happening there. Or you can try, but I don't think it's going to work very well. Good. Come back to stillness, please. Nice, you guys. Walk yourself forward onto hands and knees. Onto hands and knees. Good. Start to circle your hips, please. Move the pelvis. Good. Nice, you guys. A place where turning in circles is the entire point. And then go ahead and come to stillness. Start to rotate the other way. So take your hip circles the other direction. Nice. And then bring yourself slowly back to stillness, please. Hands and knees. Stretch your right leg out wide to the right. So your foot is going to be in line with that left knee. Good. And then stretch your left arm out wide to the left. Yep, left arm out wide to the left. And then slide that left arm underneath your right wrist, like you're threading the needle, but your legs are out wide. Good. Turning the gaze, walk that right arm forward towards straight. Nice. Good. Keep that right foot anchored to the floor as much as you can. Draw the top of your right thigh back and in towards the midline of your body. So that right hip is not swaying out to the right. Pull it in towards the middle. Push your left hip wider. Yeah. Good. Nice, you guys. One more breath. Again, pushing wide through your left hip. Good. Slowly unwind. Come all the way back up onto the hands. Beautiful. So plant that right hand where it is. Take your left arm up to the sky. So twist. So instead of reaching underneath you, now you're twisting the opposite way. Good. Press into that baby toe edge of that right foot. Nice. I know it's a little awkward twist. Yeah. Good. And then release that hand down to the floor. I'm aware. Left hand plants. Take your right arm all the way up. Find the open twist and notice how that tends to just let you fall onto that left hand, but now push your left hip a little wider to the left. Yep. Nice. So open twisting is great, but only if we're very aware of how we're holding ourselves. Good. Release that hand down to the floor, please. Nice job. Take that right knee down underneath you, hands and knees. Good. Switch to the other side. Take your left leg out and wide. Good. And then stretch your right arm out wide to the right. You got it. So other hand mark. And then slide that arm behind your left wrist. Right shoulder finds the floor. Turn your gaze. Walk the left arm forward towards the top of the head. Good. Like you're threading the needle with the leg extended. And again, notice that your hips have probably swayed completely out to the left. So you got to pull that left hip back and in. Push your right butt cheek wide. Good. I know this is much more awkward than threading the needle from hands and knees. Nice, you guys. Right? The practice is not to try and avoid the things that we don't want to feel or that we don't want to do or that we don't understand. The practice is to continuously expand our awareness so that whatever is happening has a place in our experience. We have a place in whatever is happening, and that place is not defined by one emotion alone, or it's not defined by one reaction alone. Good. Walk yourself back up onto both hands. And then even though you don't like it, plant that left hand, take your right arm all the way up, come into a full twist. Good. Nice. Nice, Dina. Just lift your throat a little bit higher or draw your head back a little more. That's it. Good, you guys. And then release that hand down to the floor. Go ahead and switch into the open twist. So right hand plants, take your left arm all the way up and don't let your right hip swing forward. Don't twist it in, push it wide. Yeah. Good, Linda. Watch that hip doesn't swivel in. Other way. There you go. Good. Release that left hand down to the floor. Come back to hands and knees. Nice job, you guys. Downward facing dog, please. Downward dog. Tuck your toes, lift your hips. Good. And then go ahead and bend your knees. You bend your knees deeply. Keep your hips pulling back towards your heels. Start to cat-cow your upper spine. Good. Nice, you guys. Letting your weight drop into your feet, hips moving back. Good. Yeah, so there's a point where I can say bend your knees and you can make it a big action of your thighs, or you can bend your knees and drop your weight into your feet. Good. Nice, you guys. Then start to slowly take the legs all the way back to straight as you let the spine come to stillness. Excellent. Step your right foot forward between the hands, lunge. Take both hands inside the front foot, walk to your left until you come to the center of your mat, straighten both legs, Prasarita Padottanasana. Good. Hands underneath the shoulders or blocks if you want. Good. Nice, you guys. Plant the right hand underneath the center of your chest. Take your left arm up to the sky, spinal twist. Good, and continue to turn that pinky finger a little bit more towards the top of your head. So actually hollow the armpit forward. Bring your hand forward towards the top of your head a little bit more. Good, and then lift that left side armpit just a little bit higher. Pull your right inner thigh wider to the right. Good, and then release that hand down to the floor, please. Good, walk your torso towards your right thigh. So turn your belly towards the right, like you're gonna bring your belly to the right leg. Good. Nice, keep that left thigh pulling wide to the left. Let your belly turn, let your ribs turn. Beautiful. Good, and then walk yourself all the way back to center, please. Left hand plants this time, right arm comes up to the sky, twist. And again, turn that pinky finger, move it forward so that you hollow the front of the armpit, you hollow the arm bone or front of the arm bone so it softens where it meets the shoulder. Bring that hand towards the top of your head just a little bit further. So again, space in the armpit. Good, keep your left hip pulling nice and wide to the left. Lift through that right arm just a little higher. Good, and then release that hand down to the floor. Walk your belly over to the left thigh. Yep. Turning to the left leg. Keep your right thigh pulling wide to the right. Keep the tops of your thighs moving back so you're not curling your tail under here to try and make yourself more available to twist. Keep your inner thighs moving back and wide. Good, turn the belly, but don't turn the hips. Tops of thighs back. Nice, walk yourself back towards center, please. Deep breath in, exhale, bow a little deeper, bend your elbows, drop your head. Good, and then walk yourself back towards the top of your mat. Right toes turn forward. Good, spin the back heel up and then drop the back knee down to the floor. Good, shift your hips back so that your hip is right on top of that left knee. Come up onto your right heel, Ardha Hanuman Asana. Good, walk the hands forward any amount. Again, blocks underneath the hands, great idea. Good. So dig down through that front heel and for a moment, bend your knee on purpose. So drag back on the heel, bend your knee. Good. And then start to, keeping the knee bent, start to lift your tail up and back. So start to tilt your pelvic bones. Front of the pelvis is going to move forward towards your thighs. Back of the pelvis is going to tilt up and back away from you. So keep that front knee bent up on the heel, but keep it bent. And just work that pelvis alignment. Good. Now relax your shoulders. Nice, Emily. Good. One more breath. Good. Lift up onto your fingertips here, up onto your blocks. Let that leg come to straight by pulling back on the tailbone even more. So tilt the tail up and back, straighten the leg. And just pause there. Don't bow forward any deeper. Just stay. And then exhale, relax your shoulders. That's it. Good. Bend the right knee again, please. Slide forward into that low lunge, keeping the back knee on the floor. Inhale the arms up to the sky, Anjanayasana. Good. And then place your left forearm on top of that right thigh. The right arm is over the ear, twisting towards the right. Reach that right hand towards the upper left-hand corner of your mat. Good. Keeping the weight on that front heel. So don't hang back on the back leg. Let your pelvis move forward, root through your front heel. Yeah, press down into it. Feel the back of that right thigh wake up. Excellent. And then unwind the arms. Inhale both arms up to the sky. Anjanayasana. Pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Squeeze the foot and the knee towards each other. Good. And then exhale, release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Lift the back knee, step back, downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Good. And then step the left foot forward between the hands, lunge. Walk both hands inside the front foot, walk to your right until you come to the center of your mat, Prasarita Padottanasana. Good. And then again, walking yourself towards your right thigh, either reach with the left hand for your right ankle or shin, or plant that left hand anywhere to the right of center, right? So it doesn't have to be touching the foot, but plant the hand to the right of center, and then take the right arm up to the sky. Good, so you're either reaching for the foot or the ankle, or just planting that hand anywhere to the right of center. Remember to hollow that armpit slightly forward. Good, pull your left thigh a little wider to the left. Nice. And then release back to center, please. Good. Pause for a moment and then start to walk yourself towards the left leg. Right hand either reaches for the ankle or the shin, or again, you're planting that hand anywhere that is to the left of center. And then take the left arm up to the sky. Good. So I want your hand touching something. That's the point, is that where your hand is touching is a relevant point of contact, that you're not reaching for something that is unreachable, but that you're finding where you can reach that gives you the ability to come into this twist knowingly, right? Consciously. Pull that right thigh wider to the right. Beautiful. And then release that hand down to the floor, come back to center. Deep breath in. As you exhale, again, bend your elbows, drop your head, send your tail up towards the sky. Good. And then walk yourself towards the left, back towards the top of your mat. Turn the left toes forward, spin the right heel up. Good. And then drop that right knee down to the floor. Scoot your butt back so your right hip is on top in line with your right knee. Come up on your left heel, Ardha Hanuman Asana. Good. So hands can walk forward any amount. And so you're digging that heel down, toes are curled back. So again, an active foot. And then purposefully drag back on your heel so your knee bends. So bend your knee. And then purposefully take your tailbone up and back. So again, you're trying to get that hamstring stretch, not from straightening the leg, but by tilting the pelvis. So the pelvic bones, front of the pelvic bones tilt forward, tail goes up and back, like you're flaring the sit bones. Good, and keep that heel dragging down and back so your knee stays bent. I want you to not let it come to straight, and instead just really work the pelvis. Good, and then don't hunch in your shoulders, right? Notice how that's happening. Good. So as you draw the tailbone up and back, you also can extend the ribs forward. So a bent knee doesn't mean you have to have a rounded spine. This is the awareness, right? Is that one response or one reaction doesn't mean that the next chain reaction has to continue the exact same way. Good. Keeping your knee bent, tilt that tailbone back just a little bit more, lift up onto your fingertips. Good. And now start to straighten that front knee, not by pushing the knee down to straighten it, but by pulling your tailbone up and back. Take your pelvis deeper into that tilt and reach your ribs forward. Don't bow any deeper than where you are. Just stay and relax your shoulders. Lengthen your throat. Feel the stretch through the spine and through the hamstrings. Good. And then go ahead and shift your weight forward back onto that left foot. Bend the knee. Coming into Anjanayasana. Again, if you need a blanket underneath the back knee, make sure you have it. Inhale, both arms up to the sky. Make sure you set up your Anjanayasana so that your pelvis has room to move forward. Good. Your front knee maybe even has room to move forward slightly beyond your ankle. If that's not the case, you can always squeeze that left heel, draw it back a little bit more. Good. Arms to the sky, reach, 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 reach. Let your pelvis be forward of your back knee. Come forward. Nice. Root through that left heel. Good. Deeper breath in. Pull up, pull up. Good. Nice, Linda. Nice, Mark. Good, Lena. And then release the hands down to the floor. Excellent, you guys. Lift your back knee. Step back to downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Deeper breath out. Good. Then take your right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Beautiful. Bring that right knee forward and wide for pigeon pose. Right knee towards your right wrist. Letting the shin cross at whatever angle it's going to cross. Good. Turning the left hip forward as much as you can. So as you scoop into your belly and turn that left hip forward, you move your right thigh crease, your right hip bone wider to the right. Good. And then from there, allow your seat to settle towards the floor, staying upright for just another breath. So it's like you're imagining that you're just going to sit in this position. Good. Nothing else. You're just letting the pelvis descend towards the floor. Nice. And then go ahead and walk yourself forward onto your forearms. So just come onto your forearms and stay. Tuck your back toes for a moment and lift your back knee up. Good. So with your back knee lifted up off the floor, torso is parallel to the floor roughly. Good. So you can feel here your ability to now drop through your right butt cheek. So you're still trying to take your pelvis towards the floor, but your knee is lifting up. Press back through that left heel. Good. Nice, nice, nice. And then go ahead and relax that left knee down to the floor. Excellent. Drop down any lower you want to with your torso, or use your blocks, whatever you'd like to have underneath you. So without the exact notes, I can't completely quote that little, 5-chapter life experience, but I do recall that, in the beginning, there's that unawareness that I walk down a street and there's a hole and I fall in it. Never saw it coming. Right. But then I walk down the same street and I see the hole is there and I fall into it anyway. Right. But the thought comes in like, it's not my fault that I fell into the hole. And you walk down the same street, you see the hole is coming and you try to move away from it, but it doesn't work. You fall in anyway. And there's a realization like, oh, it is my fault. I'm the one who keeps falling into the hole. So you walk down the same street again, see the hole, you fall in the hole and say, okay, right? It's just a hole. And that 5th time is when in the story it says we choose a different path. But again, what if every time you became so skillful at navigating what that hole really is, the whole landscape, not focused on the hole itself? Right? What would you become if you saw the entire, and the story is never given, right? Nobody ever says on the path, what kind of path is it that you're walking? Why are you on it? What's just beyond the hole? Our ability to become skillful, and this is part of spiritual practice, is that it's not our job. It's not the goal of spiritual practice, put it that way. It has nothing to do with having a job, but it is not the goal of spiritual practice to avoid anything. It's not even the goal to always say, I make the best choice. Because the best choice is completely dependent on what your mind thinks it wants to experience and what it doesn't want to experience. But the more aware we are of ourselves and how we are walking the path that we are on, then that hole in the path no longer becomes something that we try to run from, or we try to figure out or avoid or get out of. We can love it for what it is, and we can love ourselves for what we are. And who knows, maybe while you fell into that hole, there was, something that was coming right at your head that misses because you fell in the hole. Who knows, right? But to expand our awareness beyond the relationship that says the hole is something I have to avoid. This is our next stage of practice, because yes, it's lovely if we can just change our path. We can just change the way that we're walking, where we're walking. Also lovely to know that even if you stay on the same path, that you are able to become so skillful that that hole is your friend. And that there is no such thing as it being just a repetition that doesn't change. Changes with your awareness, changes with your understanding. The hole may always be a hole. But that's all it is. It's just a hole. Whatever else happens inside of you that is your interpretation of the world, your interpretation of yourself. So we bring in something new. Did you notice the sun as you fell in the hole? Did Did you feel the breeze? Did you hear the birds? Did you smell the grass? What were you thinking before you fell in the hole? Was there a time and a place before that pain happened? And can you remember that the pain is not all there is? And there I am projecting onto the hole, right? Maybe the hole is very comforting. I don't know. It's your hole. Deep breath in. And then walk yourself all the way back up onto your hands. Good. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, come back to downward facing dog. Nice. Pedal your feet if you need. And then come forward to plank pose, upward push up. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need, all the way down to your belly. And then bend your knees, kick your heels in towards your butt, reach back for the feet or the ankles. If reaching for the feet is not a possibility today, keep your hands alongside your ribs like you would for Cobra. But if you can reach your feet, reach for your feet. And then hug your knees towards each other just a little bit so you know they're not wider than your hips. Draw your heels down towards your butt cheeks and keep them there. You're gluing your heels to your butt. Good. So you're not going to lift the knees up off the floor. Good. You're going to bend your elbows straight up towards the sky, lift head, neck, and chest. So as the upper chest is working, keep the thighs rooted down to the floor, keep the heels rooted down towards your butt. Good. And bend those elbows. And again, if you're not reaching for your feet, you can plant the hands and just work the upper body like you would in Cobra. Or I like what you're doing there, Emily. That works too. Good. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release. Beautiful. Let your feet come back to the floor. Good. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Nice. And then let me see if I can get this right. Take your arms forward in front of you. Straight out in front of you. Cross your right wrist over your left wrist. Yep. And then you are turning onto your left side. And as you turn onto your left hip, your right arm is going to swing back behind you into a spinal twist. Yep. Keep your feet just as wide as your mat so your toes continue to touch the floor. But as you roll onto that left side, take the right arm back behind you, any amount into a twist. Yep, let the head fall back. Arm can stay alongside your ear if reaching all the way back does not work for the shoulder or neck or any other part. Good. And say twist in this position like a cat would, completely unapologetic. Good. Take one more full breath. Then slowly unwind, coming back to your belly. Point the toes back behind you, walk your hands up alongside your ribs. Plant the hands, rise up Cobra, lifting head, neck, and chest, press down through the tops of the feet. Drag the heart forward from the back of your heart, lift up, lengthen through the legs. So as you're lifting your heart forward, I want you to press back through your tippy toes, like you're gonna touch the wall behind you, lengthen. Cobra pose, Bhujangasana. Good, one more breath, root down into your hands so you feel the strength go all the way up into your shoulders and pull your low rib cage up and in. Nice, and then release all the way down to your belly. Excellent. Separate your feet as wide as your mat again. Stretch your arms out forward in front of you. This time, cross the left wrist over the right. And then you're rolling onto your right hip, swinging your left arm back behind you into a twist. Try to keep the feet, both feet connected to the floor, even if it's just your toes. Good. And again, that right arm can be alongside your ear. It doesn't have to be all the way back behind you. There's another lovely little saying that circulates around that says, suddenly happens after a whole lot of gradual. Right? We can be walking the same path every day, have the same conversation a million times, and suddenly one day our awareness clicks. And we say, oh, I never realized this is really what I wanted to say, or this is really what I've been saying. I never realized that there was another way to walk this path. It's not the path that is the problem. It's not the hole that is the problem. It's It's not even us that are the problem, right? Even in that story, right? Somewhere saying, oh, it's my fault or it's not my fault. Get rid of the fault. How about expand your awareness? How am I walking? Why am I walking? Where am I walking? And am I walking with that sense of dread and fear? Or am I walking with a willingness to love what's in front of me, even if it's painful? Slowly bring yourself back to your belly. And don't pretend that I'm good at this, right? I'm saying it to you because I need to remind myself. Back to your belly, please. And come up on your forearms for Sphinx Pose. Take the legs a little closer behind each other. But that's it, right? With our expanded awareness, there is the ability to take in more. Press down through the forearms, drag back, feel your chest lifting forward and up, feel the back of your throat lifting nice and long. Beautiful. And then tuck the toes, please. Look back and in towards your belly button, press into your forearms, pull those ribs up and then lift your knees up off the floor, come into a forearm plank. Feeling as though you are pulling the tops of your thighs or the top of your pelvic bones and your lower rib cage together underneath you. Keep dragging back on the forearms, lifting the chest forward. Good. And then press back through your heels, equal amount. Good. So Kristen, drop your hips just a tiny bit lower. Yeah, tiny bit lower. I know, tiny bit lower. You might have to wiggle your feet back. There you go. Yep. That's the spot. One more breath, you guys. Lift from the back of your heart, the back of your throat. Beautiful. And then drop the knees to the floor, please. Good. Walk your hands back up onto hands and knees. Press back, child's pose. Good. Finding the breath in the back of the rib cage. This is a little bit funny, right? If you have done any pranayama practice, and I know pretty much all of you have, I think all of you have. Yes, you all have, I'm sure. You know, you can imagine, what was your life like before the first time you were introduced to breathing on purpose, right? What a miraculous thing, right? To notice that you can notice your breath and to realize that you can breathe consciously, that has an effect that is not controlled by you, but that is created by your awareness of something that is happening all the time, 24/7. And suddenly by you paying attention, it's a brand new thing. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees, come back to downward facing dog. So the only thing there is for us to do, and we say this all the time, but the only thing there is for us to do is to become aware, expand that awareness of what we're already doing, not to get so caught up in, am I doing the right things or the wrong things the right way or the wrong way? Left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Less of the what should I be doing or shouldn't I be doing? Less of the what do I have to cut out of my life or my path? And more of just, am I willing to love what's in front of me? Bring that left knee forward and wide for pigeon. Good. Knee towards the left wrist. Good. Really, as you're here, press through that left shin. Turn your right hip forward a lot. So your pelvic bones literally come into alignment with each other, right? So that might also mean that besides swinging that right hip forward, you might have to actually scoot your knee forward a little bit. So again, your hips can be in line. And then just from there, for a breath or two, let your pelvis descend straight towards the floor. So you're still pressing through your left shin, but you're letting the weight of your pelvis settle. Good. Nice, you guys. And then go ahead and walk forward onto your forearms. Stay on the forearms. And while you're there, pressing down into your forearms, tuck your right toes, lift your back knee up off the floor. As your back knee lifts, again, that subtle feeling of trying to draw the tailbone down towards the floor, again, like you're letting the pelvis drop, but you're lifting your thigh up. So you get a stretch through the top of the thigh. Feel as though you're pulling that thigh bone up and in, a little scoop to the lowest part of your belly. Nice. Excellent. And then go ahead and lower that right knee down to the floor. Beautiful. Go ahead and relax your torso to wherever you want it to be. Using your blocks if you'd like. So there's those layers of activity in the mind. And I know years ago when I first heard that, little story about the 5 chapters or whatever, my brain was like, that's amazing. That's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. Of course, it explains so much. Just change your path. And then the more I read it, the more I look at it, the more I look at myself, I'm like, well, the path might not always be changeable, is not always changeable. So then what do you do? And that feeling of when you are actively experiencing the patterns of your life and it feels like you're doing nothing but turn in circles. We start to think, well, this is the way it always has to be because this is the way that it always is, and it always is. So I guess I can't do anything different. I have to just keep saying it the same way, doing it the same way. Because at least I know what that result is. We don't look to the right or the left, the up or down, just straight ahead. It's like if you've ever had deja vu, and what usually happens is, your part of you is aware that things are happening in a way you're like, oh, this has happened before. And then as soon as you become aware of it, you say something different than you usually say. And there it goes. Or the recurring dream where you make a subtle different choice and the whole thing changes. This is always the truth, is that it is our awareness of our interactions that give us space or keep us stuck. And I think of people who climb rocks, right? That maybe you go to the same space or the same place to climb rocks, same cliffs. And do you think they're going to be exactly the same every time? Of course not. Because weather happens, nature happens. So if we rely on the same handholds, the same footholds, the same things to make us feel a certain way, we struggle. Our challenge is not to change the face of the rock, not even to change the way that we try and climb. Can you see the rock for what it is? Can you see yourself for what you are? And then even if that rock is unclimbable, or it's unclimbable by you, can you still love the rock for what it is and love yourself for what you are? And if that sounds like it's hard to do, practice it every day. Little bits and pieces. But it's amazing to notice that when you are stuck in your own feelings, can you at that point let your awareness take in something else, anything else? There's a whole world going on beyond what our mind is jumping around in. So give yourself a break. And give yourself a break from your own mind by expanding your awareness. Walk yourself back up onto your hands. Good. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, come back to downward facing dog. Go ahead, pedal the feet if you need. And then come forward to plank pose, upward push up. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Go ahead, point the toes, rise up into Cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Good, and then exhale, release. And then bend the knees, kick your heels in towards your butt, reach back for the feet or the ankles. Or again, keep your hands alongside your ribs. So if you're reaching for the feet, you have the option here to either come back to the shoulder stretch that you did before, frog pose, or this time if you want to lift the knees up off the floor as well into bow pose, you're welcome to do that. So make your choice, either keeping the knees rooted down to the floor and just bending the elbows, lifting head, neck, and chest, or kicking your feet into your hands. Let the thighs lift up as you lift head, neck, and chest. So you have that full back bend. Good. My suggestion is either way, keep your elbows subtly bent. That little bend in the elbows means you're going to get more lift and openness through the front of your shoulders. And you can work through your thighs a little bit more. Good. Nice, Becca. Just squeeze those knees towards each other a tiny bit. Emily, same thing. Hug those knees. Oh, no, maybe you're okay. I think it's just the shadows. Good. And then slowly release. Excellent, you guys. Nice job. Walk your hands back underneath your shoulders. Press up to hands and knees. Good. Come back to child's pose. Good. Then walk yourself all the way back up, please. Come to sit, stretch your legs out in front of you. Good, left leg stays extended. Bend your right knee up in towards your chest. And then cross that right foot over the left thigh. Good, wrap the left arm around the right knee. So you're squeezing that thigh up in towards your belly. Right hand comes back behind you. Good, twisting towards the right. Good. But drawing that thigh up and in, make that the more dominant action, that you're actually drawing your thigh up and in. You're getting that thigh bone to angle towards the center of the body, lifting your belly up towards the thigh. And then in your twist, most of you are looking over your right shoulder. So keep yourself in the twist, but then look back over your left shoulder. Yep. Good. And then turn the head back to the right. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. One more time, turn your head to the left. And then come back to center, please. Good. Unwind the leg, please. Take the right foot, back to the inside of the left leg. Let your knee drop wide. Good. And then move that right knee wider to the right. So you're in more of the half straddle variation of Janu Sirsasana. Good. So move the pelvis wider. And then walk the left hand in towards your left heel. Yep. Turn your right ribs open, stretch the right arm up alongside your ear or hand behind your head, whichever works better for you. Good. Side stretch, root down through that left heel. So that leg that's extended, press down through the heel. Don't let the toes fall open. Draw the inner thigh down towards the floor so your toes are really straight up and down. Good. Even more, Emily. Root that inner thigh. Linda, inner thigh. Yep. Nice, you guys. Good, Lindsay. Nice, Mark. Beautiful. And then come all the way back up, please. Good. Turn your belly towards that left thigh. So take the hands to frame the left leg. And then walk yourself straight ahead, forward fold over the left thigh. Good. Turning through that right rib cage. Awesome. Good. And then walk yourself all the way back up. Nice job. Good. Bend the left knee, please. Stretch your right leg straight out first. That's easier. Right leg extends straight out. Bend the left knee straight in towards your chest. Good. Cross the left foot over the right thigh. Wrap the right arm around the left knee. Squeeze that thigh up and in towards the belly. Left hand comes back behind you. Spinal twist. Look to your left. Turn the ribs to the left. Good. Hug, hug, hug. Nice. Again, making the squeezing in of the thigh more dominant than trying to twist your belly, but pull that thigh in and then just get yourself taller. Good. And then as you're looking over the left shoulder, turn your gaze to the right, look over the right shoulder. So the ribs don't untwist from that, right? So the shoulders are still turning to the left, but your gaze turns to the right. And then take your gaze back over the left shoulder. So again, the way you think it's supposed to be going in the twist. And then one more time, turn your head back to the right. Good. And then bring your head back towards center. Unwind the legs, please. Step that left foot to the inside of the right thigh. You could let the knee go wide and then take your knee back just even a little bit wider or widen the right leg. Either one works. So you're in that half straddle Shavasana. Good. And then walk the right hand towards that inner heel of the right leg. Good. Start to turn the left rib cage open, stacking left rib cage on top of the right. Try not to let your ribs either fall forward like you're arching your back, or fall backwards like you're rounding your back behind your thigh. You want your ribs right in line with that extended thigh. Good. And then take the left arm over the ear or behind your head. Nice. Root down through that right heel so your toes are not falling in or out. So that's too much, Linda. There you go. Nice, Emily. Good, Kristen. And there is a seated twist that we rarely do where I keep going to the head thing because, we think, oh, in twisting, we always cue that you twist the head in the same direction, that the shoulders are going. But in that particular twist, the actual alignment is meant to be that you're looking backwards over the opposite shoulder. It's a twist that we really never do. We hardly ever do it anyway. It's named for one of the sages, and I just can't remember his name right at the moment. Good. Come all the way back up to center, please. Turn your ribs towards that right thigh, so framing the leg with your hands. And then start to walk yourself forward fold. And I only bring it up, not, just for your yoga trivia, so that you know that there actually is a seated twisting pose where you look backwards over the shoulder. But because our concepts of the way things are supposed to be is often built just on our sense of comfort. And sometimes we don't even know why, just someone told us this is the way it's supposed to be. And we're like, okay, it's the way it's supposed to be. So we never even look any other way. We never even try any other way. Because our mind now says, but this is the way it's supposed to be. This is what's good. Part of that expanding awareness is maybe recognizing what is valuable, what is easeful, what is useful, what is helpful, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But seeing the context within which those dynamics are occurring. There may be times that to change the angle of the head or the shoulders or the hip or the knee is really even more valuable. In the same way, changing the tone of voice or the way that we speak or the way that we respond, even more valuable. To let go of the idea that there is one way that it is supposed to be. And instead start to expand our awareness to feel what is there. This is the way that it is. And to do that over and over and over again. It's how we start to free ourselves from our mind's own craziness. That's the hole we don't want to keep stepping in. Walk yourself all the way back up. Nice, you guys. Bring both feet out in front of you, bottoms of the feet together, Baddha Konasana. Good. Check out that you're not directly going to bang into a wall if you fall backwards, so scoot forward a little bit. And then holding onto your ankles or your feet, please. If you're on a blanket, maybe come down off the blanket. So come up on your tippy toes and balance. Lift your feet up off the floor and then start to take your legs out wide into a straddle, holding the feet. Good. And again, if a full straddle is not a possibility today, keep the knees bent. So it's like you're just balancing on your sit bones and happy baby. Good. But if that's where you are, yep, still engage the legs. Nice. You got to find that sweet spot. Where are my pelvic bones? And where are my abdominal muscles? You actually have to lean forward more than you think you have to, or that you should have to. Good. If you're pretty happy where you are, stay balancing, but take the legs together in front of you. So it's like you're in a balancing forward fold, legs together. Nice. Beautiful. And then bend the knees back to Baddha Konasana. Let the feet come back down to the floor. Beautiful. And then go ahead and walk yourself forward, forward fold. Nice, you guys. And then slowly walk yourself all the way back up, please. Good. And then find your way onto your backs. If you are in the room with me, you can turn your heads to face the center of the room. One down to your back. Yeah, the silly levels are getting a little high in here. Find your way onto your backs, please. Good. And then bend your knees. Take your right ankle over your left thigh, please. Lift your left shin parallel to the floor. Reach through to hold the leg if you'd like, or just let the legs hold themselves. Good. Whole experience, the entire experience of that whole, the way my mind has been interpreting it lately, or my heart has been interpreting it lately, is that the whole experience of that whole, the metaphor of it, that has nothing to do with actual events. It has everything to do with the mind going through the same routine of saying, if I do things this way, am I going to get what I want? No. Maybe if I try it again. How about now? No. What if I do it this other way that's exactly the same, but I pretend it's different? No? What do you mean no? All right, how about I abandon this and I do something else that I'm still trying to get the same thing, but now I've got a different routine to try to get the same thing. Is that going to work? No. Huh. Guess I'm unlovable. Right? Or whatever the end, the only natural conclusion, right?
Nailed it.
Nailed it. This is what our mind does. Right? I'm not alone in this, I don't think. You have whatever your version of this conversation is. But this is the point, is that the whole is just that internal experience of trying to get something in a way that maybe it's not gettable. And then we make that big jump, that conclusion that says, oh, it must be me that's deficient. Right? How ridiculous to realize the whole that you're trying to avoid is just yourself. Deep breath in. Good. Extend that left leg up to straight, please. Keep the ankle over the knee if you'd like. Good. Nice. And then change the angle of the hand. So if you're holding between the legs, just take the arms out so you can reach above the ankle. So you're reaching for your left calf or your left foot. Good. So as you exhale, lift your shoulders up off the floor. Walk your hands up towards that ankle any amount. Scoop into your low belly. Good. And then drag that leg with you as you start to relax the shoulders back down to the floor. Let the gravity, the weight of your upper body, draw the legs in. Yep. Slightly deeper forward fold. Keep your low back rooting towards the floor as much as you can. There you go, Lena. Excellent. And then go ahead and release. Bend that left knee, please. Good. Step the left foot down to the floor, right ankle over the left knee still. Let your feet drop to the left. So your right foot is going to come flat to the floor, ankle against your knee. So it's not a, don't let the knee fall to the floor though. Keep the knee angled up towards the ceiling. The right one. Yep. Good. So the idea is that as that right knee angles up, you're drawing the right side sacrum back and down towards the floor. I know. Good. So all the whole is us trying to avoid that mind routine that brings us to the same unreasonable conclusion that has nothing to do with what actually just happened. To expand our awareness. What is it that I am in such deep desire for, such deep need for? And can we let go of the blame that says it's my fault for wanting something? Or it's your fault for not giving me what I want? And it's a tough thing to continue to try and love those places inside that feel like they're maybe still missing something. That are trying to understand how they fit into this world. But you are the world, right? So you're the only one who can decide how and in what ways they fit. Come back to center, please. Hug both knees in towards your chest. Yeah, squeeze. Good. Nice. And then release the shoulders. Take your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Right shin comes parallel to the floor. Reach through to hold that right leg if you'd like. So maybe you didn't get a whole class on completely on the floor, but you never had to fully stand up. That's pretty good. Yeah. You don't have to keep changing everything to try and find what's the right equation or what's the right way of doing things that's going to get me to feel the way that I want to feel in the world. Absolutely, if you feel drawn to change your interactions, the path that you walk, metaphorically change it. But change it with full consciousness. Instead of just running from one path to another and saying, why can't I find a path that doesn't have a hole in it? Experience the whole for what it is, a place in you that needs your awareness, your attention. And to notice how interestingly the mind does throw up those ridiculous conclusions. Oh, must be because you're unlovable. Must be because you're flawed. Must be because you didn't say or anticipate the exact thing that someone else wanted you to do. Experience the whole for what it is. And then can you love yourself even as you fall into the hole again? And then get out of it. And see the whole for what it is. Love it for what it is. Love yourself for what you are. Start to straighten that right leg. Please change the hand so that you are holding now above the ankle instead of below. It's easier. And then on an exhale, walk your hands up towards the ankle any amount. Curl your shoulders up. Good. Yep. So you're squeezing, curling up into the abdominals. And then let your shoulders drop back down towards the floor and let the weight of that, the gravity of that, draw the legs in towards the belly with you. Deeper stretch. Good. Keeping the low back rooting down towards the floor. Nice. And then slowly release the foot, please. Bend the knee, take your right foot back to the floor. Left ankle is still stacked. Drop your legs to your right. So now the left foot is going to come flat to the floor. Keep the ankle against the thigh, but angle that left knee up towards the ceiling. And then soften your left side sacrum, left side rib cage back down towards the floor. So it's almost like you're trying to do a little reverse twist. Good. Yeah, and don't obsess about what angle the knee can or can't come to. Work that lower back down towards the floor so that, again, you're getting that opening through the part of the back that rarely gets direct stretch. Nice, you guys. I can't remember all of the details of the end of that movie Groundhog's Day, which is ridiculous because I know I've seen it 10,000 times. I seem to recall that towards the end of it, that what breaks the cycle is that he's no longer trying to control the day. He's no longer trying to get what he wants out of it. Instead, he's approaching the person, the one person who he's really interested in, but he's approaching the whole day, the whole situation with a loving awareness that he didn't have the first 18,000 times. And it's through that loving awareness that finally that cycle is broken of, oh, I don't want anything from this anymore. I'm no longer looking at how to control this to get what I want. And the cycle is broken. I can approach what's in front of me with that loving awareness. And then spiritually, that's when we say, oh, that's when those patterns, those painful patterns really do stop happening. Or they stop happening to you and it starts to become something that you understand and can step around or guide or glide past. Slowly come back to center, please. So if you're repeating something for the 10 millionth time, don't worry. Just see if you can notice a detail you didn't notice before. Hug your knees in towards your chest. See if you can notice something in you that you didn't notice before. And then slowly release. Good. Take the feet forward in front of you. Stretch the legs out to straight for fish pose. So you can either do this with the arms bent in robot arms, like you would for bridge, or you can have the arms straight alongside you, palms facing down. You can slide those arms close to your ribs, even hands underneath the butt if you'd like. Good. And then flex the feet, please. Keep the legs together. Root down through the lower body. Begin to press into your seat as you arch the heart up towards the sky, pulling up from the back of your heart, lengthen the throat, top of the head just touches the floor. Good. Pressing down into the upper arms, either way. If your arms are alongside you, you press down into your forearms, elbows will bend, the chest lifts. Good. Root down through the legs. And then slowly unwind yourself. Really nice. Good. If you want to come straight into Shavasana from here, you can. If you feel that you would like a final spinal twist, you're welcome to do that, drawing the knees in towards the chest and twisting in whatever way you'd like. I would suggest legs up the wall, but by the time you get there, it's not going to feel very restorative. So there you go, Kristen. If you want to just stick your legs up in the air, you can. So either take your final spinal twist or let yourself just spread wide on your mat. Like a puddle, spread wide. Like an expanding sunrise, spread wide. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. The body begin to stretch, move, whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And then take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. And for a moment, just imagine in your mind that there is a sun that is above the top of your head, and it is just constantly shedding light. And there's this idea in yoga, it comes up a lot, that says that the sun is one of our great metaphors for what it means to just always be shining. No matter what's going on, whether the day is one full of despair or fear or hope or joy, it doesn't matter, the sun is shining. That's what it does. And so it is our reminder that as you go through your life and it seems like nothing is changing and that you can't see anything except what's always there, with all what your mind is fixated on, is that we turn to that reminder that the sun is always shining, and it's not just shining on us, it's shining on everything. It's shining on the hole in the ground. It's shining on the things that are coming at you and the things that you don't even see. So we bring our awareness there so that our awareness expands like the sun, that we see so much more than just what our mind is fixated on. And then we start to be able to love what's in front of us. We start to be able to love what's inside of us. We don't want anything except what's here. And we call that freedom. So hang on to that sun. It's inside of you. It's not separate from. Now let it shine into your mind. Let it shine into your awareness so that what you see in front of you is not just the hole in the ground. It's the beauty that is all around and within that hole. And you seeing it is the magic. You seeing it is what's important. So see yourself in the light of that sun. Deep breath in for Om. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week until I see you again. You're welcome for a class that was mostly on the floor. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.